Hi, this is Joe Mazumdar from Exploration Insights, speaking to you from the Sprott Resource Conference in Vancouver. And today we have as our guest is the Mariana Resources CEO, Glen Parsons. Hi, Glen.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Mariana Resources has a market cap of about 110, 120 million Canadian right now. We own it currently in the Exploration Insights portfolio. So you've got this project that's high grade copper and gold in the jurisdiction of Turkey. And so could you tell us how you actually acquired the asset?
Sure. In January last year, we actually concluded a transaction where Aegean Metals Group was a company that we effectively did a friendly merger with and took it over and acquired it. And we paid 1.3 million US for that by the issuance of Mariana scrip. And within the company, there were these two properties in two projects in Turkey, which were under JV, one with Teck and one with Lydia. And Lydia, the Hot Martin project that we're talking about in northeastern Turkey, and the other one is Agama in the west. And then they had two Chilean properties that we acquired as well.
So the focus has been right now on the Hot Martin project, which currently you own about 30% of, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah, that's correct.
And you've just released an updated resource whose ultra high grade is 30 grams with over 3% copper, is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, in the indicator category, we had effectively, 2 million odd tons for 2.2 million ounces. At an average grade of 32.86 grams per ton, so well over an ounce, and then 3.5% copper, as you say. So phenomenal grades within that, and grade is king in this environment, and it's always going to be. So it's a fantastic result for us.
So the challenge for you right now is trying to marry the upside and the reward of the grade and the potential of this deposit with the geopolitical risk right now of Turkey. So in terms of how are you mitigating that risk with respect to the asset?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously Turkey is certainly topical at the moment in terms from a geopolitical perspective. Just to say, on the project though, nothing has changed for us. We have been operating right through this time frame. You and I were on the project 4 weeks ago, which was before the coup, yes, and things were operating then. They have been operating with 2 rigs, and we continue. 1 rig on the main resource zone and 1 rig on the southern zone, and that continues going forward. In terms of, at the slightly higher level, yes, certainly there is this sentiment that's out there, and it's going to take time to settle. We know it was a failed attempt, which is a good thing, I think, for us. We see certainty at least going forward, and I think that's probably the key thing for the project. So operating normally with a bit of certainty, I think is a good thing going forward.
And your joint venture partner, can you give us a little bit more detail of the company Lydia Melanchelic that actually owns 70% of the asset?
Sure. So Lydia actually forms part of the Chalik Group holdings. And Lydia is their mining arm, and then Lydia is actually outside of their joint venture with Alisa on the Çöpler mine, the second largest gold mine in Turkey. So Lydia has earned into 70%, and that we have now formulated an incorporated joint venture. So we are 30%, they are 70%, and they are the operator. In terms of the board, how we operate it, there's a 4-man board. Eric Roth, our COO, and who's effectively been in Turkey a lot this year, managing our investment, has been on the technical side assisting as well.
So right now there have been no issues with you going forward. You're drilling, you've put out a resource, and now I understand that you've actually listed on the TSX. Before you've been listed predominantly, your main listing is on the Alternative Investment Market Exchange in London, and just recently this week I believe you have listed on the Toronto
Yes,
Stock Exchange.
we announced we're listing on Tuesday. We're actually the first day of trading, and that has come about really because of the great demand that we've had out of the North American market. We've got a strong Canadian register, we've got a strong US register within that. It's actually moved into the institutionalized portion as well, so we're not as much retail. So that's really strong from a project development perspective and holding value. So we're quite happy with that, and that really warranted us moving across and trying to support those guys that have come in and the ability to grow the investor base and give them the ability to trade.
And I understand with the last placement you made that you've got a strategic investor in Sandstorm Gold, is that right?
That's right. Sandstorm bought the 2% NSR from Turk in a whole package deal that they bought, and the way we see it is they were so happy with the 2% NSR that they felt that we were doing a raising that they could actually take an equity stake in us, and that supportive role that they're playing, we think is quite significant. It's going to be a significant part of us going forward, knowing that we got this underlying support. They're a long-term player in terms of the royalty, and therefore a long-term player and supportive shareholder.
In terms of your board right now, I understand you've added somebody from the Turkish joint venture partner as well as Sandstorm to your board?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we got four original board members from inception on the AIM side, and now we feel, you know, we're a relationship type company. We've got a good project. It is a joint venture. We feel that there's a lot of merit having someone from Turkey on our board, and no one better than Mustafa Aksoy, who's effectively the CEO of Lydia. So he's joined our board effective 5th of July. And then with the Sandstorm investment, we felt that, again, you know, strengthening our ties, that they're a long-term player with us. Therefore, it made sense for us to have some form of representation and assistance, specifically assistance in the North American market, you know, the Canadian market. They know it well, they've done well. They're assisting us manoeuvring around here to make sure that we're actually doing the right thing and getting the maximum impact that we deserve with a project like this.
And in terms of not only, I mean, the basic valuation's all tied up predominantly in hot modern, but you've also got a portfolio, I understand, in Argentina, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if we go back to the roots of Mariana, I mean, we've been an active explorer despite the downturn. I mean, we really believe that trying to set projects up for the upturn, and that's what we've done. I mean, we've got, you know, because we've been active, we're in this position now. We were acquisitive before. We acquired Hot Martin. So the portfolio sits, we've been in, we do have a focus in Peru, Chile, Suriname, but those projects, we've actually felt that some of the projects, they haven't quite delivered what they should have, and we're pretty disciplined in saying if the project's not delivering what we want, we'll move on and look for the next one, because we're trying to get scale. That's our real strategy. If we move down to Argentina, though, we had a discovery there early in 2009. We developed it. We had a nice valuation on the back of that, but then with the downturn in Argentina, it really collapsed, and that's when we diversified. So the ability now with Argentina picking up, it's investor friendly, it's got a new government, they've got a pro-business government. We certainly see the ability to reinvigorate that Argentinian portfolio nicely. We would say that we should be effectively focusing a little bit of attention to it. We're not going to be silly. We still have our focus on Turkey, but it warrants attention and lifting, so we think we can extract value.
But do you have any shareholders that are sort of saying, hey, I would prefer that you don't spend the money anywhere else but Hot Martin, or are they interested in you diversifying your asset base?
I think with the market changing, it's changed a little bit. That yes, they see the value of that, but I mean, we're a responsible board. We certainly know we've raised money for Hot Martin, and that's where the money's got to go. But we also, Mariana is a portfolio company, so there's a delicate balance, and the way we see it is a prioritization. We've got a portfolio. Some assets are much more advanced and delivering value. We've got to concentrate on that. Argentina is really, you know, if you take the balance of our portfolio, it's probably valued very close to zero at the moment in the combined entity. But we have to prioritize Argentina as an advanced asset. It has got a resource. We have got some new discoveries there, as well as the rest is on the greenfield side effectively. So it's a prioritization with everything really fundamentally going to Hot Martin.
So right now, what is your current working capital?
So our cash on hand at the moment is $7.5 million at the moment. We do have a lot of, all our warrants are actually well in the money. So we probably see over time those warrants kicking in, and there's about $5.5 million there. So pretty much the 7.5 sees us well into next year, more than half of the year, going into the last quarter of the last year. With the warrants coming in, you're sitting pretty in terms of a cash position right at the end of the year. So we're in a very strong position giving optionality, but we know down the line, 2018, 19, if Hot Martin is at the production phase that we think we're going to be getting it to, there's going to be some bigger calls on, and we're going to have to be maneuvering ourselves accordingly down the line. But that's a long way away.
And Lydia, the joint venture partner, is interested in developing and producing gold and copper from this project?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. So Lydia, as I said, you know, is the mining arm of Chalik, and they are developing a number of portfolios within the country. They see this as a mining business, and they certainly, with a grade like this and knowing that the cash flow that can be generated from ounce per ton gold, it certainly pays to be pushing that on a fast track basis, and we really are moving. So our catalyst for us now is, as the joint venture is moving from our PEA in September, October to a PFS later next year, and then effectively production down the line.
So your next major catalyst is basically a PEA or scoping study in Q3.
That's right, end of September, October, that's the intention. So the studies are, detailed metallurgy is underway now, mining studies as well. The resource has been upgraded and that will be the basis of the PEA. We have appointed Rangi Pincock Monaco to do our PEA, and that we're hoping will be ready by October and be that real, as you say, a tipping point in a way for us, a real quantification and giving the market, such a good feel of what hot modern is. We think it's really positive and it will give that market that feel. We're pretty confident.
And you still got another 5,000 meters left of that 20,000 meter program?
Yeah, we actually got 10, probably closer to 10. It's probably just under 10. But I mean, so we had a 20,000 program for this year, 20,000 meter program. Up to now, we're sitting just over 10,000 meters. So it's the two rigs are going to be working quite hard now going forward, which is pretty positive. So there's nice drill results coming. PEAs, as a defining point, and then moving into the PFS next year. So that's pretty good. And then, as I say, we're even looking at some of our other projects just in terms of some exploration work. So it's not the bulk of our cash going in.
Okay. Well, thank you, Glenn.
Thanks very much, Joe.
This is Joe Mazumdar from Exploration Insight at the Sprott Resource Conference in Vancouver. Thank you very much.